Hello, I'm Brady Treacy, and today I'll be discussing my findings from the interview conducted for my cultural plunge assignment. I interviewed my good friend Alfreds, who migrated from Tabango, Leyte in the Philippines. Alfreds arrived in Australia on the 20th of January 2010 and began to settle in my hometown of Kerang, Victoria. Alfreds attended Kerang Christian School, completed Year 12 and is now completing a degree in International Studies at Flinders University in Adelaide, South Australia. I've known Alfreds for a few years now, with our friendship becoming very close in the last year, and I believe this interview has taught me a lot about not only his background, but how the experience in making such a big move can have its negative and positive factors. Equity in education, to me, is something that diverse learning communities as a subject is built around. Educational equity means that personal or social circumstances such as gender, ethnic, cultural, or family background are not obstacles that will stop a student from achieving educational potential, and that all students reach at least a basic minimum level of skills. Educational equity depends mostly on two main factors: fairness and inclusion. Obviously, fairness and inclusion are massive factors in the making of a culturally diverse person's transition into a foreign society, and Alfreds has luckily had a mostly positive experience transitioning into Australian society. In Kerang, Alfreds became a reasonably popular member of the community due to his incredibly kind and caring nature and his impeccable social skills. During the interview, Alfreds outlined several factors that helped him make the smooth transition into a foreign society, however explained that there were some challenging aspects to his migration too. Alfred strongly believes that the first impressions he gained from people at his new school and around town in Kerang were one of three major influences that have shaped his identity as a now Australian citizen. The people that I first met when I came to town, and especially people like my teachers, gave me an idea of what Kerang was going to be like, Alfreds explained. Alfreds' immediate family were a massive influence on his identity, as he learned everything he knew with his mother Bernie and older sister Brigitte back in the Philippines, and learnt everything he knows now alongside them too. For Alfreds especially, being able to speak the Filipino language around his family would have made him feel much more comfortable in this then foreign place. Alfreds described his social skills as average upon first coming to Australia. However, gaining employment with Woolworths in 2012 gave him the opportunity to enhance his social interaction skills, which he believes is the third influence in the shaping of his identity. Alfreds has had a number of positive experiences at school, with some more defining than others. The school that I attended in the Philippines taught English, Alfreds explained. However, although Alfreds could speak English, he said that my English was so bad that I didn't want to speak it around Australian people. I was embarrassed. Alfreds' first positive experience at school happened back in grade 6 when he started school at Kerang Christian School, where he slowly began to become more confident with his ability to speak English. Alfreds credits his English development and the second major positive influence during his schooling to the Christian school and their incredible dedication to help Alfreds make the smoothest and fastest transition into Australian society. Alfreds' third positive experience was what he described as the small community that the Christian school had. Kerang Christian School and Kerang Technical High School are the only two schools that offer secondary education in Kerang, with the Christian school newly offering secondary studies as recently as 2010. Kerang Tech High has a population of around 300 to 400 students, creating a much smaller environment. Alfreds explained, "The smaller size of the community at Christian school made it far easier for me to fit in," and said that he believes that this is because there was less chance for me to be bullied because of the lack of student population, which in turn helped him feel more comfortable at school and therefore further encourage a much faster and smoother transition into what Alfreds affirmed to me was a far more inviting schooling community. However, although the Christian school's smaller community made it easier for Alfreds' transition upon first starting school here in Australia, once he became more confident in himself and started to make friends, he found the major negative influence that he would have never thought would have become a problem. Living in a small town and going to a small school limited the people I could meet, he said. I had my friends at the Christian school, which was great, but they had other friends at Kerang Tech and at the local footy club, which made it hard for me to mingle with people that were outside the school grounds, Alfreds explained. Alfreds is a strong advocate of teachers having a major impact on a student's identity. My first teachers were the biggest influence on my development outside my family and my peers. They were so welcoming and didn't give up on me, he said. On the very first day of school, we had a school assembly where everyone had to sing the Australian national anthem. I couldn't believe that I was being included in singing a national anthem that I have never heard and didn't know the words to, he explained jubilantly. Alfreds has shown me how the building of his identity and the belonging and inclusion in Australian society can work in a positive manner. Alfreds outlined to me several challenges that he faced during his transition into Australian schooling. However, I believe that his overall experience has been a positive one. Though I am aware the migration experience is not the same for everybody, and Alfreds' circumstances are obviously much better than other culturally diverse people we have living around us, Alfreds has shown me how his peers, friends, family, and his teachers especially can create a positive and encouraging network to aid the development of a culturally diverse person in a foreign place. Alfreds' development is a credit to the Kerang Christian School, as I believe they took the first steps in helping him to make the smoothest possible transition into Australian society. In the Week 3 reading, Service, Learning and Social Justice, Engaging Students in Social Change by Chapol explains the difference between the in-group and the out-group and how white students who spend most of their time with other students with similar socio-economic and racial backgrounds. However, to develop a real commitment to social justice and inclusion, they must experience diversity in their relationships with other people, as this breaks down stereotypes and dismantles the wall between us and them. This relates directly to the information Alfreds has presented in the interview, as the white students at Kerang Christian School did spend most of their time with other students similar in socio-economic status and race, mostly because Kerang does not have a massively diverse community of people from different cultures. However, instead of creating an us and them situation, the stereotypes were broken and Alfreds was able to be included and given the same opportunities as any other student irrespective of cultural background.